Hi kids, Pastor Josh here again with another Bible story for you. Now our story today takes place just after last time. Paul and Silas have moved on from the city of Philippi and they're moving on. Now first they go to a city called Thessalonica and things don't really work out so well there. They do have some people come to Jesus, but they have enough other people try to cause trouble for them that they have to move on. There they come to a city called Berea, and things go very well there. So many people come to Jesus in that city. But then some people from Thessalonica follow Paul and Silas and try to cause trouble for them there. It gets bad enough that Paul's life is at stake. So Paul gets sent on ahead to a city called Athens, while Silas and the others, they stay behind in Berea to look after the church there. Now, in Athens, Paul, for the first time, is on his own on one of his missionary journeys. So he's got to try to look around and find a way that he can teach the people about Jesus. And while he has a look around the city, and he doesn't really like what he sees. It's not that he has anything against the Athenians, but the issue is about any time he turns a corner in this city, and he comes face to face with another idol. For those of you who don't remember, an idol is a statue or other image of a fake god. So for instance, turn the corner here, and you practically walk into a statue of Zeus. Go down the block, and what do you know? Right there on the wall is a picture of Apollo. Everywhere you go, everywhere you turn in this city, there's another fake god being represented for people to worship. Paul thinks to himself, "Oi, this is bad. These people need Jesus like crazy." So, what does Paul do? He heads to the marketplace. There's no synagogue in Athens, so he has to teach the people where they are, in the marketplace. Now this actually works out well for Paul, because Athens has a large population of people known as philosophers. That gets kind of complicated as to what a philosopher is. Sometimes I wonder if a philosopher even knows what a philosopher is. But to try to make this easy, philosophers are people that think up new ideas, try to teach others people about those ideas, and spend a large amount of their time debating with other philosophers about their ideas. That's probably an oversimplification, but it gives you a general idea. So when Paul goes through the marketplace teaching people about Jesus, a lot of people just assume he's another philosopher going around trying to teach his new idea. But as they listen, he catches people's attention. Now some people, they hear Paul and they say, "What is this crazy guy talking about here?" But others, they hear and they're intrigued. They want to hear more. So Paul even ends up getting an invitation to speak in a place called the Areopagus. I know, that's a mouthful. Basically, it's a fancy word meaning a place where all the philosophers in town can meet together and have someone teach about their new idea. So Paul is invited there, and he basically teaches about Jesus there. He opens up with this: "People of Athens, I can't help but notice that you are a very religious people. Everywhere I turn in this fine city of yours, I come across another idol. I did find one idol in this city rather interesting, though. You had it dedicated to an unknown god. Well, I come before you today to tell you that this unknown god that you are worshiping is unknown no longer." And from there, he teaches them about Jesus. He tells them about how Jesus came to earth to pay the penalty for our sins and how he rose from the grave. Now, as Paul speaks, especially when he mentions the part about how Jesus rises from the grave, some people hear him get up and leave, thinking he's crazy. But others, they listen and they want to hear more. Others listen and they believe. It was a bit of an uphill battle for Paul teaching people about Jesus in Athens. After all, the Athenians were kind of self-centered when it came to their thoughts on wisdom. They thought they knew it all. So teaching a people like that was very difficult. But there were those that believed and came to Jesus. Now that's where our story ends for today, but we have a couple of pretty important lessons. The first lesson, when you want to talk to someone about Jesus, look for a way to make a connection with them. I mean, Paul didn't just come in and start teaching the Athenians as if they were the same kind of people that he'd been working with before. He looked around to try to get to know these people first, and he was able to make a connection to them through the idol to an unknown God. Now, God does not approve of idols. He makes that very clear. But God allowed something like this to happen so that Paul would be able to connect with these people to teach them about Jesus. So when you want to teach others about Jesus, try to look for a way to connect to them first. Look for a way that you can introduce Jesus into the conversation. Find out what similarities you have. It makes it a much more friendlier conversation when you're teaching about Jesus. The other important lesson is trust God's wisdom over your own. So many people in Athens missed out on the good news of Jesus because they basically had too big of a head. They thought their own wisdom was better than anything. But when we trust that God's wisdom is greater than ours, things start falling into place, just like they did for Paul.